Hello again. I'm Brian Jackson, the Editorial Director at IT World Canada. We're here at Technicity, and we're joined by Councillor Michelle Holland. Welcome.
Great. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, and thank you for leading that panel. You did a wonderful job, and now we get to ask you a few questions.
Wonderful. Thanks so much.
You've been the advocate for innovation at the city for a full year now, and I wonder, what have you accomplished in that time?
Well, I actually started even a year and a half before I was given the official title by the mayor. So I had the opportunity, even prior to that, to do a deep dive into the ecosystem. So that was my initial reaction, was to get a better understanding of the ecosystem, was to do research and meet with as many people I could from across the spectrum within the ecosystem. And of course, really tech runs through everything. I would say that that was one of my greatest findings, and we know that today. So unlike even 5 years ago, 7 years ago, now tech is really a horizontal that absolutely runs through everything. Everything is tech. And if you aren't, then that's going to be difficult for you. Because we are in the fourth industrial revolution, we're in the new innovation economy, and we have to be prepared. So what I noticed first, prior to getting the role when I was in my second term of office here, is the fact that government can no longer be reactive. We have to be proactive. And in doing that, there's a number of things that we must be doing at the city. So in answering your question, the bigger things that I've done in the past year are looking at, first of all, diversity and inclusion, and making sure that within the tech ecosystem that we're advancing, for example, women in technology, because we know that has fallen behind. So we need to advance that. So I'm doing that in a number of different ways. One is by ensuring that women in technology are on our most important boards at the city and our agencies and commissions. So we have control over that, so that's something that we can actually advance women in. And we're now at 44% across our boards with gender parity. The other areas are at the city, taking a look at, number one, outside the city, the ecosystem, looking at the brand. And the problem that I heard the most was from everyone across the spectrum saying, we're doing amazing, we're punching above our weight, but people are not hearing it. They don't know that Toronto is the center of AI. They don't know that Toronto is exploding with possibility and innovation and technology. We know how great we are, but the world's just not hearing it. So we have a problem with telling our story. So I put together a panel that is made up of our leaders from the ecosystem, top CEOs and VPs, and they've been advising me on how we can create a narrative and a brand, and we're in the midst of doing that. So I've been working on that for about a year and a half. The second initiative is called Digital Literacy Day, and that sort of works with the broader residents of Toronto and residents to make sure that no one is left behind in the new economy. So in doing that, we are engaging with that ecosystem and making sure that they're giving and providing a day. It's for a day in May 31st of 2018. And we will be inviting every tech firm and corporation across the city to participate. In the way that they will do that is by opening their shop or their storefront for the day and allowing residents to participate in, of course, a controlled manner. And they will be, for example, offering coding for kids or STEM for girls, or whatever they deem that they want to do in order to participate.
When you talk about innovation, the conversation inevitably turns to artificial intelligence, and that's the theme of the conference today.
Right.
So we heard from the Vector Institute today. We know there's the Creative Destruction Lab in the city, other amazing organizations like the Ryerson DMZ, and so on. So I just wonder how you see the government interacting with groups like that.
Well, I completely agree with you. I mean, we know that Toronto is one of the world's largest hubs for AI. So if you want AI, then you're coming to Toronto. And it's just a matter of making sure that everyone else knows that. With the Vector Institute, that is something that we should be absolutely proud of. We have all 3 levels of government participating and supporting the Vector Institute. I was there at Mars for their opening, and all the work that Jeffrey Hinton's doing is absolutely phenomenal. And we should be ensuring that that's out on the global stage, and that's what we're doing at the city. So we're telling those stories. We want to make sure that from the CDL to the Vector Institute to the DMZ and all of the amazing hubs and institutions and startup and incubators, that it's world renowned and it's world known.
And a final question for you. I saw that your mandate includes looking at where we might have to reskill workers and retrain as a result of the jobs shifted by AI. Right. So I'd be interested to hear from you. Where do you think the first focus for that should be in terms of jobs and industry?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Even recently, I work very closely with Brookfield Institute. And there was a recent report from Deloitte that said between 37 and 42% of jobs will be, let's say, transformed by AI. So that's something that we're very aware of at the city. And especially myself with this role, it's something that I'm looking at in particular. So there's a few domains that I think that it's going to affect first. We know that in terms of even administrative assistants, that will be something that can be easily AI'd or AI'd out, I would say, as I call it, or
like outsourced.
It is. It's transformed. So whether the jobs are completely eliminated or how they're transformed is really difficult to know. We all want that crystal ball to see what will take place in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, but there's so many iterations that will come that it's not really possible to know. But I know from Jeffrey Hinton, that he was saying that administrative assistance is probably the first one. We can also see that in driverless vehicles. There's these areas that are coming that we have to be very receptive to and very knowledgeable about, so that we're taking action on that and skilling up and making sure that residents of the city are doing that and future-proofing. So there's sort of 2 avenues to that. There's people that are coming upstream, so there's students that are in school right now, whether they be in high school or whether they're in university. But we have to make sure that we're preparing them for the future workforce, so that we're future-proofing them. We're working with our higher secondary, post-secondary institutions, universities and colleges to make sure that they're prepared for the new economy and making sure that they're preparing our talent for the new economy. And they're doing that. We know that. I've been at many roundtables and I can see the work that they're doing. The second area is, what do you do with somebody that's already there and their job is going to transform? And that's something that I think is the role of government. I've been in conversations with our counterparts at the province. And again, this will sort of loop back around to Digital Literacy Day. That was the whole impetus behind my creation and my idea of that day, was to leave no one behind. So we can sort of see this tidal wave coming, this, quite frankly, a tsunami. And what are we doing to prepare our workforce for what's going to happen? Because people sometimes rely on politicians to actually save the day, and we're not able to. This is a tsunami. We're not able to, and anybody that tells you that would actually just not be telling either the truth or they're just not knowledgeable about it. And considering that I've done the deep dive into this whole realm, I know that future is actually upon us.
Okay. Thank you so much for your answers today, Michelle.
Thank you.
And for more Technicity content, you can find that on itbusiness.ca. Again, I'm Brian Jackson.